my god.
Yep. No, stop.
Okay. Jesus Christ. Don't do it. Don't. Oh.
No.
Oh god, he's all the way up there.
No.
Dear my beloved audiences, today I want to tell you a story which is called Tiny but Mighty. To most people, Peanut was just a tiny chihuahua with big ears, big eyes, and a bark that was more squeak than snarl. He weighed no more than a loaf of bread and could fit in a handbag, which he often did. But what Peanut lacked in size, he more than made up for in spirit. Peanut lived with Mrs. Benson, a retired teacher in her 70s who lived in a cozy cottage on the edge of a quiet town. They had been together since Peanut was a pup, adopted from a rescue center where he had been surrendered after being found alone in a cardboard box. Mrs. Benson had chosen Peanut not because he was strong or playful. He was shivering and silent that day, but because he had looked up at her with those big, trembling eyes, and she saw something special. "You're a fighter," she told him. "You just don't know it yet." And she had been right. Over the years, Peanut became Mrs. Benson's constant companion. He sat on her lap during her morning tea, rode in a little carrier on her mobility scooter, and slept curled up at her feet every night. Though small, Peanut was fiercely protective of her. If anyone came too close or knocked too loudly, he would leap up and bark with all the authority of a German Shepherd. Most people just laughed until they met his eyes. There was steel in them. One summer afternoon, something happened that would prove Peanut's courage once and for all. Mrs. Benson lived near a nature trail that ran behind her garden. Families walked their dogs there, kids rode bikes, and deer sometimes wandered through. That day, Mrs. Benson decided to take Peanut on a short walk along the trail. The weather was warm, and she brought a little bowl of water and a small bag of treats. Halfway through the walk, they sat on a bench under the shade of an old oak tree. Birds chirped, leaves rustled gently in the breeze, and Peanut dozed in the grass. Then, Out of nowhere, a low growl broke the peace. Peanut's ears shot up. He stood and turned toward the sound. Out from the trees came a large dog, a stray, tall and muscular, with wild eyes and ribs showing through its fur. It looked hungry and angry. Mrs. Benson froze. She gripped her cane, trying to stand, but she wasn't fast enough. The dog began to stalk toward them, lips curled into a snarl. And then, something incredible happened. Peanut, all 4 pounds of him, ran in front of Mrs. Benson and planted himself between her and the approaching dog. He lowered his tiny head, bared his little teeth, and let out the loudest bark he could muster. The big dog paused, confused. It had clearly never been challenged by something so small. But Peanut didn't back down. He barked again, louder, and even took a step forward. His tail stood tall. His body trembled, not from fear, but from sheer determination. The stray took another step forward. Peanut lunged, barking so fiercely that his whole body shook. Mrs. Benson shouted for help, hoping someone would hear. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the stray stopped, let out a growl, turned, and slunk back into the woods. Peanut didn't move until the dog was completely out of sight. Then he turned back to Mrs. Benson, wagged his tail, and let out a little sneeze, as if to say, "All clear." By the time a local jogger arrived to help, it was over. Mrs. Benson told him what had happened, and the story spread quickly. Soon, the entire neighborhood knew about Peanut, the brave Chihuahua who had stared down a dog 5 times his size. A few days later, the local newspaper ran a story. Tiny dog, huge heart. Chihuahua saves owner from stray. There was even a photo of Peanut in his favorite sweater, sitting proudly on Mrs. Benson's lap, looking more regal than ever. From that day on, Peanut became a bit of a celebrity. Children came to pet him, neighbors brought him treats, and the local vet gave him a special medal that read, "Tiny but mighty." But to Peanut, none of that mattered. All he cared about was being by Mrs. Benson's side, protecting her, loving her, and reminding the world that courage doesn't come from size. It comes from the heart. If you like this video, please leave a like and a subscribe. It will really help our channel grow. But if you don't like it, then just skip it, and don't forget to check out our other videos. Thank you very much and goodbye.